Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another ancient Irish tale. And today's tale comes out of the Tales of Traditional Kings section of ancient Irish mythology. And this one is The Adventures of Art, Son of Colin. So, smash that subscribe button, sit back, enjoy a horn of mead, and enjoy. Art, son of Colin, the 100 finger, referred in this preceding tale, was one of the early traditional kings of Ireland. His reign extending from AD 220 to 254. As a usual thing, the material regarding traditional kings is later in the time of composition than the material of the Ulster cycle. This story, however, although it appears in a late manuscript, has all the appearance of belonging to the old Irish tradition. In this is several other stories detailing with the early kings and their rather strong emphasis on the legal and governmental system of ancient Ireland. Superstitions regarding the kingship, curious ideas about the influence of moral and physical state of the monarch upon that of his people, the custom, of human sacrifice for the good of the country. I know a few politicians nowadays that for the good of the country, we should do this too. But all these make up the material of this selection, especially interesting to the student of early Irish social history. Here, as in numerous other romantic tales included in this story, we encounter the motif of a visit to the fairy world. The land of promise, the land of youth, as appears in from the context of Colin and Art, are regarded as contemporaries of the Finn McCool. Now, Conan the Hundred Finger, son of Freeman Roshmir, son of Tura Tushmir, son of Firek Figrashan, son of Kemerk Nirnar, son of Logoth Robdor, son of three white triplets, Bris and Nar and Lothar. The names of the sons of Echred Fid is the father of the triplets, is usually Echred Firech, the brother of the king that is here referred, was once a Tara of the kings, the noble conspicuous dwelling in Ireland for a period of 9 years. And there was nothing lacking to the men of Ireland during the time of this king. For, indeed, they used to reap the corn 3 times a year. And his wife Ethan Tuthra, also known as Longside, daughter of Bryson Burin, the king of Norway. So again, here's another example of how the Norse and the Irish Celts were connected. And this king loved her dearly. After their living a long time together, Ethan died and was buried with honor in Tiltu. For Tiltanu was one of the 3 chief burial places of Ireland, which were the Fair of Tiltanu and the Burg beside Boyne, the cemetery of Crakon. And he was dejected on the account of his wife Ethan's death. And it weighed so heavily on him that he was unable to any longer to rule or govern the kingdom. And there was lacking to Ireland that time that one thing only, that a king of Ireland should find, a helpmate worthy of him in her stead. One day, however, he was all alone, and he went straight out of Tara to Ben Ether McEthan. There, he bewailed and lamented his wife and helpmate. It was on that very day that the Tuatha De Danann happened to be gathered in council in the land of promise. because of a woman who had committed transgression, and those were named was Buchrama Kinsho, daughter of Ulan Umber, and this wife labeled Ember Lakorm Erkrub, swift hand on sword, and Gildar, Manon's son. And it was kind of committed transgression with her. And this was the sentence that was passed on her, to be driven forth from the land of promise, or to be buried according to the counsel of Manon, and Fergus Finnith, and Ethan Uthra, and Lon, son of Lear, and Gildar, then Gothru, Gormish, and Ichrit, son of Manon. And the counsel was to banish her from the land of promise. And Manon said not to burn her, lest her guilt should cleave to the land or to themselves. Messengers came from Laban to the house of Angus of Burg, his own son-in-law, for the daughter of Levers was the wife of Angus of Burg, and her name was Numsti. And was this reason that the messengers were dispatched, in order that Prushu Kisho should not find a place for her head in any other fairy mounds of Ireland. Accordingly, she was banished beyond expanse of the sea and the great depth, and it was into Ireland in particular she was sent for the Tuatha Donna hated the sons of Mill after they had been driven out of Ireland by them. The girl had a lover in Ireland, Art, son of Conal Hundredfinger, but Art did not know he was her lover. As for the girl, she found a corkel boat, and had no need of rowing, but leaving it in harmony with the wind over the sea, she came to Benyon Macish. Thus was the girl. She had a green cloak of one color about her, with a fringe of red thread and red gold at the red-stained smock against her white skin, the sandals of white bronze on her, the soft yellow hair, and the grey eye on her head, and lovely colored teeth, and thin red lips, black eyebrows, arms straight and fair of hue, and a snowy white body, small round knees, and a slender choice feet with excellence of shape and form and complexion, and well accomplishments. Fair was the attire of that maiden, even Aegon Ivor's daughter. One thing only, however. A woman was not worthy of a high king of Ireland who was banished for her own misdeed. Now, when she arrived, Conal was on Ben Ether, sorrowful and restless and lamentful, bewailing his wife. The maiden recognized him as the high king of Ireland, and she brought him her corco to the land and sat down beside Con. Yes, we're being sung at. Con asked tidings of her. The maiden answered that she was come from the land of promise in quest of Art, whom she had loved from afar because of the tales about him, and that she was daughter of Morgan. I would not come between thee and thy choice of courtship, said Con, though I have no wife. Why hast thou no wife? Said the maiden. My helpmate died, replied Con. And then, what then shall I do? Said the maiden. Is it with thee or with Art that I shall sleep? Make thine own choice, replied Con. This is my choice, said the maiden. Since thou dost not accept me, let me have my choice of courtship in Ireland. I see no deficits in thee for which it were right to refuse thee, unless they are concealed in thee. The maiden asked her own judgment of Conan, and then it was granted her. And they made a union, Con and the maiden, and she bound him to do her will. And her judgment was that Art should not come to Tara until a year was past. Con's mind was vexed because of the banishing of his son from Ireland without cause. After that they both set out for Tara, and the maiden left her corco in the clefts of the rocks, in sheltered and concealment, for she knew not when she might need the corco again. Art was in Tara, then playing chess, and comrades. Con Druid came with him, and the Druid said, "A move of banishment of thine mind's son, and because of a woman. Thy father marries, thou art being banished." The king and his wife arrived at the palace, and his son was brought to him straight away. And Con said to Art, "Leave Tara and Ireland for a year, and make the preparation at once, for I have pledged myself to this." And the men of Ireland deemed it wrong that Art should be banished for the sake of a woman. Nevertheless, Art left Tara that night, and Con and Br were a year together in Tara. And there was neither corn nor milk in Ireland during that time. And the men of Ireland, in the greatest difficulty about the matter, and the Druids of all Ireland, were sent with the help of the science and the true wisdom to show what had brought on that dreadful evil to Ireland. The question was put to them, and the Druids related to the king of Tara and the nobles of Ireland to the cause of the evil, because of the depravity of Conal's wife and her unbelief. It was sent. And it was declared that whom a deliverance would be possible, namely, that the son of a sinless couple should be brought to Ireland and slain before Tara, and his blood mingled with the soil of Tara. And this was told to Conal, but he knew not where there was such a boy. And then he assembled the men of Ireland in one place and said to them, "I will go in quest of a sinless boy, and I do not give the kingdom of Ireland to Ard yonder so long as I am away. And moreover, let him not leave Tara while I am absent, until I come again." And Conal proceeded straight to Benether and found a coracle there. And he was a fortnight in the month on the sea, wearing out of the isle to another without knowledge and guidance, save a trusting to the course of the stars and luminaries, and the seals of the leviathans, and azure heads and porpoises, and many strange beasts of the sea rose up around the coracle. And swiftly uprose the waves, and fragment trembled, and the hero all alone navigated the coracle until it came to a strange isle. He landed and left it in a secret, lonely place. And it is thus the island was, having fair and fragrant apple trees, and many wells of wine, most beautiful, and fair bright wood adorned the clustering hazel trees around those walls. They all had lovely golden nuts, and little bees over every humming over the fruit, which were of course dropping their blooms and their leaves into the wells. And then he saw a nearby shapely hostel thatched with birds' wings, white and yellow and blue. He went up to the hostel. Thus it was, with doorsteps of bronze on the door and crystal, and a few generous inhabitants within. He saw the queen with the large eyes, whose name was Rigu Rishton, daughter of Loden, from the land of promise, and this the wife of Der Dornroch, son of Fergus Vilrich, from the land of wonders. Conal saw there in the midst of the hostel a little boy, with excellence of shape and fair form in the chair crystal, and his name was Sirush Silbrug, son of Der Dorgma. Conal sat down beside the bedside of the hostel and was attended upon, and his feet washed. He knew not who had washed his feet. Before long he saw flame arising from the hearth, and the hero was taken by an invisible hand which guided him in to the fire. And he went towards the fire, then food-laden boards of housen with varied meats rose up before him. He knew not who had given to them. After a short space he saw a drinking horn there. And he knew not what fetched the horn. Then the dishes were moved from him, and he saw before it a vat of escalent and fine wrought of blue crystal, and 3 golden hoops about it. And Dodora bled Conal to go to the vat and bathe, so that he might put his weariness from him. And Conal did so. A fair cloak was thrown over the king, and he awoke refreshed. Food and nourishment was set before him, and he said that it was taboo for him to eat by himself. And they answered that there was no taboo at all among them, save that of none of them never ate with another. Although no one has ever eaten, said the little boy, I will eat along with the King of Ireland, so that he may not violate his taboo. And while they lay in the same bed that night, Conall rose in the morn and lay before his housemates his need and his trouble. What is the need? They said. That Ireland is without corn and milk for a year now. Why hast thou come hither? In quest for your son, replied Conall. If you are willing for it be told to us that through him our deliverance will come, namely that the son of a sinless couple should be invited to Tara, and afterwards bathed in the water of Ireland, and it was you that possessed the same. So let this young person, even Sigra Sosbog, be given up. Alas, said dear son of Fergus, we will not lend our son for the kinship of the world. For never did his father and mother come together except when yonder little boy was made. And moreover, our own fathers and mothers never came together save at our milk making. Evil is the thing you say, said the boy. Not to respond to the King of Ireland, I will go myself with him. Do not say that, son, said the household. I say that the King of Ireland should not be refused. If that is so, said the household, it is thus we shall let thee go from us, under the protection of the kings of all Ireland. And Art, son of Conall, and Fear, son of Conall, and the men of Art, so that thou shalt come back safely to us again. All that shall be given, said Conall, if I can. As for Conall and his concord, after having had this adventure, it was only sail 3 days and 3 nights for them to Ireland. The men of all Ireland were gathered in assembly awaiting Conn at Tara. And when the Druids saw the boy with Conn, this is the counsel they gave: to slay him, and mingle blood with the blighted earth and the withered trees, so that as dew-masked fruits of his flesh and it produce might be in them. And Conn placed the boy he had brought with him under the protection of Art and Finn, and the men of Art and the men of Ireland. The latter, however, did not accept the responsibility, but the kings accepted it at once. That is, Conn and Finn and Art Ofna, and they were all outraged as regards the boy. As soon as they finished this counsel, the boy cried out with a loud voice, O men of Ireland, leave me alone in peace. Since you have agreed to slay me, let me be put to death, as I shall stay myself. Just then they heard a lowing of a cow, and a woman wailing continually behind it. When they saw the cow and the woman making towards the assembly, the woman sat down between Finn and Conor the 100-finger. She asked tidings in an attempt of the men of Ireland. An innocent boy should be put to death despite Fimmicarth and Conor. Where are these druids? Here, they said. Find out for me what these 2 bags are at the cow's sides. That is, a bag at each of her. By our countenance, they said, we know not indeed. I know, she said. A single cow that has come here to save that innocent youth. And as thus be done her, let the cow be slaughtered, and her blood mixed with the soul of Ireland, and save the boy. And moreover, there is something which it would be more fitting for you to take the heed to, that is, when the cow is cut up, let the 2 bags be opened, and there are 2 birds inside, a bird with 1 leg, and a bird with 12 legs. And the cow was slaughtered, and the birds taken out of her. And as they were beating their wings in the presence of the host, the woman said, It is thus we shall discover which is stronger, if they encounter. Then the 1-legged bird prevailed over the bird with 12 legs. The men of Ireland marveled at that. said the woman. You are the bird with 12 legs. And the little boy, the bird with 1 leg, for it is he who is in the right. Take those druids there, said the woman, for we better for them to die and let them be hanged. The young man was not put to death, and the woman rose up and called Conall aside and spoke as follows. Put this sinful woman away, said Buchramashusha, daughter of Egan Uthber, wife of Leverluthum, for it is though the transgression that he is driven out of the land of the province. That is good counsel, said Colm. If I put her away, but since I cannot give us good advice. I will, said the woman, for it is worse it will be on a third its corn and its milk as this must be lacking in Ireland so long as she is with you. And she took leave of them and then went to her own son Sida. Jewels and treasures were offered to them, but they refused. Beja chanced to be out on the green, and then she saw Conall's son Art playing chess there. It was not pleasant for Art to see his enemy. So, is that Con's son Art? She said. It is indeed. I lay a taboo upon them, she said, unless he plays chess with me for stakes. It was told to Art, son of Conall, the chessboard would be brought to them, and they played Art, and Art won the first game. This is a game on thee, girl. It is so, she said, and I lay a taboo upon thee, said he. If thou eat food in Ireland until you procure a warrior's wand, which Curumac Duri had in his hand when taking possession of Ireland, and a great world, and fetch it to me here. The girl proceeded to Durin Lickfligber, wherein Angus, with his dear wife in his side, and ever Nisha's daughter in labour. However, she searched most of the fairy mounds of Ireland and found no tidings of the wand, until she came to the fairy mound of Egerbra. A welcome was given to her by Aine, daughter of Egerbra, and for they were her 2 foster sisters. Thou wilt get thy quest here, she said, and take yonder thrice 50 youths with thee until they come to the stronghold of Churu on top of the slab miss. There they found and rejoiced. Thereupon she set out for Tara, and she brought the wand to Art and laid it upon his knees. The chessboard was brought to them, and they played. The men of the fairy mound began to steal pieces. Art saw that and said, The men of the fairy mound are stealing the pieces from us, girl, and it is not that thou art winning the game, but they. It is so indeed, said the young man, and give thy judgment. I will this, she said. Thou shalt not eat food in Ireland until thou bring with thee Dorum, the daughter of Morgan. Where is she? Said Art. In an isle amid the sea, and that is all the information thou wilt get. Art sets for Isher's Compra, and he found a corcle with the choice equipment and shore before him. And then he put forth the conqueror and travelled the sea, and laid another until he came to the fair strange island. And the lovely was the character of this island, full of wild apples and lovely birds with little bees, ever beautiful tropes and flowers. A house hospitable and noble in the midst of the island, thatched with birds' wings, white and purple. Within it, a company of blooming Frederick Fober. A hearty welcome was given to him, and food set before, and tidings are asked of him. And he said that he was come from Ireland, and that he was the king of Ireland's son, and his name was Art. That is true, said Cora, after she put out her hand and gave him a variegated mantle of adornments, and bushings of gold from Arabia, and he put forth on him he was right for him. It is true, she said, that thou art Con's son, and as long since thy coming here has been decreed. She gave him 3 kisses dearly and fervently, and she said, Look, at the crystal bottle. And the fair was the sight of that bottle with its doors and the crystal exhilarated vats, for though everything be emptied out of them, they were never full again. He remembered a fortnight in the month on the island, and after which he took leave of the girl, and related to his errand. "'Tis true," she said, "that thine errand, and it will only be little time until the maiden will be found. For the way bad thither, there is seas and land between thee and her. Even if thou dost reach it, thou wilt not get past it. There is a great ocean, and dark between the deadly hostile is the way there. For there is a wood that is traversed as though there were spear points in battle, under one's feet like leaves of forest, under the feet of the men. There is a likeliest gift to the sea, full of dumb-mouthed beasts. On this side of the wood, even an immense oak forest, dense and thorny, before the mountain, and a narrow path through it, and a dark house and mysterious wood at the head of the same path. And 7 hags in bathed molten lead the way, awaiting thee, for thy coming there has been fated. And there is something more grievous still, even in Elbractu, son of Morgan Merchers, and weapon cannot harm him. There are 2 sisters of thine there, the daughters Feder and Forber, Fishes and Aber, their names. There are 2 cups in their hands. One is filled with poison, and the other filled with wine. And the cups which is on thy right hand, drink thereupon, and when thou hast need. And near at hand the stronghold of the maiden. Thus it is when the palace sides, the bronze around about it, and the man's head on every stake, after being slain by cautious Koffer, dog-head, long-hand, save on one stake alone, and Kosser's daughter of the king of Comrec, the mother of the girl Dosham, daughter of Morgan. Art then set out after he had been instructed by the girl until he came to the crest of the hapless sea filled with strange beasts. And all on the sides of the beasts great sea monsters rose up around the conkel, and Art, son of Colum, donned his battle attire and engaged them in wily circumstancing. He began to slaughter them and maim them until they all fell by him. After that he came to a forest where Cochrane and the wicked perceived hags were. Art and the hags' encounter was no fair encounter for him, the hags pierced and heckling until morning. Nevertheless, the armed youth prevailed over the hapless folk, and Art went on his way using his own judgment until he came to the venomous, icy mountain. And the fork glen was there full of poisonous toads, which were lying in wait for whoever came there. And he passed hence to the Sab mountain, behind wherein a full many lions with long manes lying in wait of the beasts of the whole world. After that he came to the icy river with its slender narrow bridge on a warrior's grind with a pillar stone, and he gained his teeth on it, namely Coster Toshbert. Nevertheless they encountered, and Art overcame the giant, so that Coran Kirschburs fell on him, and he went thrice to where Ali Dorsbus, son of Mongan, was, and thus this man fierce champion was he. No weapon could harm him, or fire burn him, or water drown him. Then Artie took to wrestling, and made manly combat and stern, heroic, equally sharp fight. And Eldosha began abusing Art, and they were hemming one another, but Art overcame the giant so that his head came off the back of his neck. After that Art wrecked the stronghold and seized Al's wife and threatened to do injury until she told him the way to Morgan's stronghold in the land of wonders. It was there that Kosha Morgan's wife was, and she had the strength of 100 in battle or conflict. She was a daughter of Corra, king of Coshen, and the druids have foretold her that ever her daughter should be wooed, in that same hour she would die. Therefore she put to death everyone that came to woo her daughter. And it was she that, organized the hags with the bath to meet him. Coram, the son of Doshus, the doorkeeper of Morgane's house, and it was he that put Doshus the way of Art, son of Coram, because Art would not come expedition to woo his daughter. And then was it foretold to her that she had contrived the venomous toads, and that the icy bridge, and the dark forest, and the mountain full of lions, and the helpless seagull. And thus came Art to the stronghold, which she was in quest of, and that Morgan's stronghold was pleasant at him, and the fair palisade in bronze was round about it, and the houses hospitable and extensive, and a strangely palace in the midst of the enclosure, and an ingenious bright shining bottle set on the pillar over the enclosure on the top, where the maiden was. She had a green cloak on one hue about her, with a gold pin over the breast, and a long, fair, very golden hair. And she had quick dark eyebrows and flashing grey eyes in her head, and a snowy white body. Fair was the maiden both in shape and intelligence, in wisdom and embroidery, in chastity and nobility. And the maiden said, "The warriors come to this place today, and there is not in the world a warrior fair in form or better repute." "It is true," she said. "He is Art, and long since we have been preparing for him. And I will go into the house apart," she said, "and do thou bring Art into the bower, for I fear lest the caution may be put to him to death, and have his head placed upon the vacant stake before the stronghold." With that Art went to the bower, and with the womenfolk saw him, they made him welcome, and his feet were bathed. After that came to Compra and the two daughters of Fersic along with her, out of Fisheth to pour out the poison and the wine for Art. Then Concram arose and put on her frightening apparel, and challenged Art to combat. It was not Art who refused to fight ever, so he donned his fighting gear, and before long the armor prevailed over the concoction, and her head came off from the back of her neck, and he placed it on the vacant stake in front of the fortress. Now concerning Art, son of Comodosha, daughter of the Morgan. That night they lay down, merry and good spirits, with the whole stronghold in their power, from the small to the great, until, of course, Morgan, the king of Ireland, of the land of wonders, arrived, for indeed he was not there at the time. Then, however, when he arrived, full of wrath to avenge his fortress, and his good wife on Art's son Conall, he challenged Art to combat. And the young man rose and put on his battle harness, his pleasant stained mantle, and white speckled apron, burnished gold about his middle, and then he put a fine dark helmet of red gold on his head. And he took his fair purple embossed shield on the arched and compass in the back, and then he took his wide gloved sword with its blue hilt, and his two thick shaft red yellow spears. And they attacked each other, Art and Morgan, like two enormous stags or two lions or two waves of destruction. And Art overcame Morgan, and he did not part him until his head came off his neck. After which he took hostages of Morgan's people, and also possessions of the land of wonders. And he collected the gold and silver of the land also, and gave it all to the maiden, even daughter of the Morgan. The stewards and overseer followed him from the land, and he brought with him the maiden with him to Ireland. Now they landed at Benether, and when they came to port, the maiden said, "Hasten to Tara, and tell Borsa, daughter of Egan, that she abide there not, but depart at once. For it is bad hap if she be not commanded to leave Tara." And Art went to Tara, and he was made welcome. And there was none whom his coming was not pleasing. Metawatan, and sorrowful Bushma. And Art ordered the sinful woman to leave Tara, and she rose up straightway, lamenting in the presence of the men of Ireland, without a word of leave-taking, until she came to Benitha. As for the maiden daughter, the seers and the wise men and the chiefs were sent to welcome her, and Shinart came into Tara luckily and auspicious, and the nobles of Ireland asked for tidings of his adventures, and he answered them and made a lay. Thus fare the adventures of Art, the son of Cono, and the courtship of Dushma, land, daughter of Morgan.